Michael Kaladias joins us now. He is a libertarian hoping to unseat Steve Womack in the U.S. House District 3 seat. Michael, thank you so much for joining us here on 4029 News on the Record. It has been a while since you've joined us on 4029 News, so let's get to know you a little bit better. Please tell us about yourself.
My name is Mike Kaladias. This is my third run for U.S. Congress, so hopefully the third time's the charm. I first moved to Northwest Arkansas in 1991, so I've seen a lot of growth. I moved away for a while and then came back. I'm married. My wife and I love it here. We're just hoping to try and make it a better place for everybody.
You are currently retired, so tell us what you have been doing. I know you worked for the Bentonville School District as a part of your career.
Yeah, I had a career in public education. I'm a retired school teacher, and then I took a retirement job doing security in Bentonville for a while. I've been working as a volunteer firefighter for the last 8 years, but not doing that anymore either. I'm just kind of trying to sit back and relax in my old age. I do have some military experience going back to before I even started teaching. Spent 5 years in the Navy. Did 2 deployments to the Persian Gulf. So I've worked quite a bit. I put away some money. I was hoping to be able to just live off that forever with my retirement, and inflation's kind of nailing me now. So hopefully I can still make it work, but it's going to get tight.
Okay, well, let's start with inflation and the rising costs about just about everything, especially gas prices and the basic needs. How do you think Congress should respond to that? What is Congress's role in inflation and controlling the current climate?
Well, Congress pretty much created the inflation. Most of the inflation we have now is because the Federal Reserve Bank has been dumping a ton of worthless currency into the market, trying to keep things propped up. And all that comes with debt that's been approved by Congress. And the only way you can really fix that is to try and take some of the money out of circulation. The way the Fed usually does that is by raising interest rates, but that'll trigger recessions. We saw that in 2008, it popped the housing bubble. Right now, if we were to try and do that, it would make things even worse. I think it'd be worse than the inflation that we have. The only real way we can fix this is to try and take some money out of circulation some other way. And the best way to do that would be to pay some debt. We need to get Congress to take some responsibility and actually balance a budget. They haven't done that since 1957. So if we can balance the budget, get a surplus, and then start taking some of the money out of circulation by paying off that debt that we owe to the Federal Reserve Bank, then we can fix the inflation, stop the inflation without causing a recession that causes a lot of hardships on people.
How do we balance that budget? Where are we cutting from?
You're going to have to cut in a lot of places. I mean, even if we cut the entire military budget to zero, which is what a lot of people are advocating for, we still wouldn't come close to balancing the budget. There's so much extra spending in so many other places. So I'm not advocating cutting it all, but we need to cut a lot. A lot of that's going to have to come out of what they consider entitlements. We're going to have to get Social Security to quit hemorrhaging money. It's set to go bankrupt in the next 15 years. So we're going to have to do something that saves that, which means we're going to have to change the way we do Social Security. A lot of that can be done if we actually, instead of having unfunded mandates, unfunded liabilities, if we actually kind of make it an account that belongs to the people, so that when they're taking their money out of their paycheck, it actually goes into their account. It doesn't do that right now. Right now, we take the money away from the people, and then we just kind of put it in a general account, borrow from it, and then use it to pay the current benefits that we don't have the money for. So we need to do some wholesale oversight or overhauls on a lot of these programs. Our medical spending is through the roof. So we're going to have to definitely put a lid on that. All the programs that we've done to try and do reform in healthcare insurance hasn't worked. We're going to have to end the managed healthcare model, go back to a direct pay model. So that's one way we're going to have to fix it. We're going to have to do cuts to our healthcare spending and make healthcare less expensive. So it's the most expensive healthcare in the world here, and it's getting harder and harder to get.
You think direct pay will solve a lot of that when it comes to healthcare?
I think it will. It's not going to be an easy fix in healthcare because we've spent decades screwing it up. and you're not going to fix that overnight. So we don't have enough healthcare professionals. There aren't enough doctors. There aren't enough nurses. All of that helps drive costs up. But the biggest rise we've seen in medical costs is the admin costs. I mean, the cost of healthcare itself, of the actual medical care, is tracking a little bit above inflation, but not bad. The cost of administering the healthcare that's more than 50% of the cost of healthcare. That's gone through the roof. So that's where we need to cut our costs. That health managed care isn't working.
All right, Michael Kalagias, candidate for U.S. Congress District 3. We are going to be right back with more questions in just about 2 minutes.